Hello and welcome to Warcraft Daily for today, the 19th of October 2013. So in today's news we have some talk about RNG, smart loot, that kind of thing, old world dungeon difficulty, and some very interesting PvP stuff, including a PvP summit that they're holding at their HQ, which sounds like quite the thing. So, let's get into the news. First of all, they said that they realized that sometimes RNG can be really frustrating, and yes, it absolutely can. And, well, a lot of people were saying that they should have smart loot or something like that, where it pretty much means that even if you are in an RNG situation, you can't get a piece of gear that you already have or something like that. And what they said is that they're just not sure how beneficial this would be for the game in its longevity, because if all of a sudden RNG started being smart and avoiding giving out useless items, I guess it would just make the process of a roll or something like that a little bit less exciting. I suppose that's what they think. Now, my problem with this is, well, I think that in raiding, okay, I'll just talk about normal raids first, because it's something that I can definitely say from experience. I think it's really crap when, especially in 10s, when there's gear that no one can use. For an example, sometimes we get Spirit Plate. Guess what? No one in our raid can use Spirit Plate, so that means that our guild is kind of forced to be a little bit slower with gearing up, which sucks, and I know it's a part of not having a very, varied comp. But still, I think that smart loot should, in a 10-man raid or 25 or something, it should always at least be useful to someone there. It doesn't have to be, it doesn't matter if the player already has that item or something, but I just think they should start dropping items based on the raid that are there. That way, that nothing gets wasted. Of course, that would probably wreak havoc with the whole, DE market, but at the end of the day, I think gameplay is a little bit more important than a few disenchanters making a lot of money, I guess. And I know that may seem crazy to people, but say in our guild, if we didn't DE all our Spirit Plate, we would still be DEing things that players already didn't need. So it's not like it would hurt that much, and it would just mean that those times when we get Spirit Plate, which we just have to get rid of, perhaps it could be a nice piece of agility mail for a hunter like myself. So that'd be good. They also said that smart loot is great for quests and lower level content, but messing around with the randomness of loot attribution would pretty much just mess things up, and it would take a lot of the excitement of the randomness out of high-end content. It's a weird... I do know where they're coming from a game design standpoint. It is really important that things feel exciting and special when they happen. But it also does come into the problem where World of Warcraft sometimes does not respect people's time, in that you can be constantly screwed over by RNG for a week straight, 2 weeks straight. One of the people in my guild only got a piece of gear from the Siege of Orgrimmar. I'd say it was about a month and a bit after the raid opened, which is a little bit shitty for a new patch. That includes doing Ordos, the Celestials, all that stuff. So yeah, it's a very weird issue, this, I suppose. I think it's especially bad in LFR when a lot of people... Sometimes in LFR, maybe you're doing 2 in a row, and it kind of is starting to feel like a bit of a grind, because maybe the tank's an idiot and keeps on getting everyone killed or something like that. And at the end of the day, you just want to get through that LFR, and you really want to get a piece of gear from it, and you go and you kill 8 bosses, and you get nothing. That is not respectful of your time, and a game is something you do in your free time, and it should respect your free time. I think that's a very important part of you feeling okay to go and throw time into a game, is you know that there is you're going to get something out of it in-game. You wouldn't expect to do quotes, work, if you could get nothing. I just think they should perhaps put some baseline in for LFR or something like that, so that people don't feel burnt out. Because I know personally, if I do, say, 3 wings of an LFR in 1 week and get no gear in a character, this, not so much a problem now, but back in Throne of Thunder when I needed that gear, was quite the problem. And when that happened to me, I'd be really pissed off, because I was just sitting there thinking, hey, I spent 3 hours, or whatever, of my life, and I have absolutely nothing to show other than 270 Valor points, which I could have got much faster doing other things. It's not cool. So there's the thing. Now, the next thing that the Blues were talking about was old world dungeon difficulty. So basically, they said that the low-level dungeons needed to fit in terms of difficulty with everyone, including new people to the game. And they understand that it's not really hard enough for everyone, but they need to cater to new people who are not skilled in MMOs. Basically, they said the kind of person who gets a mage and gets strength gear or something dumb like that because they don't understand how MMOs work. And well, they do have a bit of a point. I'll say that much. it's kind of hard because World of Warcraft is in a very unique position when it's 10 years old and there's not a giant amount of new blood coming in. It's mainly other I suppose people like doing alts and stuff that are going through these low level dungeons. So I do think it's actually reasonable to up the difficulty a little bit, but not too much. I think it should be up to the point where if the tank like goes and just pulls 3 rooms at once, then you should die, because sometimes it's just ridiculous how tanks can just sort of like lol pull everything. That kind of sucks. And as for mechanics, I think they should definitely be the kind of thing where they can kill you, instead of it just being completely pointless, because you want to start teaching people a lesson in that regard from the start up. By making content an absolute face roll through the whole leveling experience, it just means that players don't learn anything, they hit max level, and the only thing they have that can skill them up on their own is Proving Grounds, because everything else they're going to detract from other people's experiences. Honestly, I'm okay with, say, the first 30 levels of dungeons being lol simple mode, but after that I think they should start getting harder and harder and harder, with, say, stuff like the Burning Crusade ones, or the Wrath ones, being not hard, like maybe, yeah, like the level of maybe slightly under a Pandaria Heroic, and I know that nearly sounds absurd, but do remember that right now we're doing Pandaria Heroics in our crazy gear, which absolutely ridiculously outgears it. Actually, with the proper gear, maybe, like, if you just imagine Pandaria Heroics when you actually had the proper gear, they were still easy to most people, but at least there was a way that you could die, stuff like that. I think that perhaps if the older, like Wrath, Burning Crusade, Cataclysm dungeons were maybe just a little bit easier than that, just a little bit to cater to people who are leveling, and of course don't have the optimal gear and that kind of thing, then I think it would be better. At the end of the day, what we want is for there to be more and more skilled players hitting max level that can contribute to their server, contribute to the various guilds there, and when players can do that, they really bring the whole server up, and everyone in the server and everyone in that battle group or whatever gets a better play experience, because there's a higher pool of more skilled people who aren't going to go around pissing people off, which, okay, maybe you don't mean bad, but you still kind of, stand in the fire and pull too many mobs and that kind of thing. So yeah, by teaching, like, come on, it's ridiculous. They're teaching tanks to pull rooms and rooms at once in these lower level dungeons, and then you hit max level and the same tank just thinks, well, this is what I've done all the time, I may as well keep on doing it, and then they die and everyone else dies. And the tank's confused because they're like, well, back in the dungeons I used to do, this didn't happen, and everyone else is angry at them, so they get pissed off and leave. So there you go, that's one thing. They also said that they do love flexibility, for an example, monster power in Diablo and flex rating. Now, this is just an off-the-cuff thing they said after they were talking about the old world difficulty. And I was thinking is perhaps you could do a harder level dungeon, just use some of that scaling tech to scale up the numbers, perhaps that would be a thing. Maybe you could get, like, more blues, perhaps, something like that. Maybe, they could put in, I know what they could do, they could put in, like, an old world epic for each level bracket, so say 20 to 30, 30 to 40, and the end boss, or some of the bosses, whatever, can have a rare chance of dropping these if you do the lower level dungeon on a hard difficulty. And it doesn't even need to be a new art asset, it can just be similar to another sword or something like that. I don't know, maybe it would be nice to be able to do some of that older content in a difficulty that's a little bit harder. That said, do I actually think this is worth the dev time? Absolutely not. I would rather have them working on endgame, because most of the active WoW players are at endgame, and that's what really matters to the majority of people. Now, the next thing is PvP. So they're actually having a PvP summit at their HQ. They're inviting a whole bunch of the very skilled players and basically the cream of the crop, the good people. And it's not specifically about balance, but it's more about design. The quote is, they'll be discussing things including reward structures, battleground design, arena design, general PvP content / gameplay, future plans, and yes, we'll be spending some time in class design. This is interesting to me. Actually, I think that the PvP system in World of Warcraft is kinda crap. And don't crucify me immediately if you're a PvP player, that's not what I mean. Your way of playing the game is absolutely cool and legitimate, but I just don't think Blizzard are maybe giving you as much interesting things as you deserve as a paying subscriber. Definitely when I compare what I get as a raider in comparison to what PvP people get, I don't really think you guys get as good value as we do, and I think that's really something Blizzard should put more thought into. They should be giving you guys more content, they should be giving you leagues, ladders, like, come on, look at what the systems they have for StarCraft, do that. I don't know, something. just more than this boring MMR number. So there's that. I think more world PvP is a thing. The lack of Winter Grasp made me sad in Mists of Pandaria. I'm told Barad wasn't even close to Winter Grasp, so don't even say about that, because it's shit. But yeah, I just think they need to do more things for PvP. Adding in a new arena every once in a while, that's fine. Adding in a new battleground every once in a while, that's fine, but is it really enough? Like, is it really such a groundbreaking fundamental change to your game? No, it's not. At the end of the day, you might only play that new thing. Hell, even if you're just doing your random battleground every day, are you going to see that new battleground? You maybe only see it once a week. That's not much added to your game every major content patch, and how often it's not a new thing every major content patch. The only thing that they give you is some updated armor models, weapons, and they tweak around with the classes. Well, honestly, I don't think that's enough. There should be more things, so what makes me interested here is when they say general PvP content / gameplay, and then when they say future plans. I think there should be some sort of new system. I don't know what it is. I don't have enough PvP experience or anything to actually say, but I just think that, like, you guys deserve more content, because what you do is really, like, it's pretty hard, it's skilled, and maybe there's just not enough variety, I suppose. Maybe? I don't know. Leave your thoughts in the video, actually. I'd be interested to hear. I just think that maybe they should be giving you more content for the money you pay. Anyway, the other thing they said about PvP is that it's about crowd control and stuff like that. They said in the next expansion that there will be less CC, it'll be on a longer cooldown, and DRs will be a little bit better managed. Yeah, DRs are very, very, very confusing at the minute, because you have all the different spell categories and all the different ways they stack up with the diminishing returns, and it's just weird. Also, there's too much CC and interrupts and stuff like that, and in my opinion, far too many of them are instacast. An instacast thing takes a lot of the decision making out of something. You just need to watch the enemies cast bar and hit a button, and then, oh look, you completely shut them down. And I know that to a degree that's a very important part of PvP, but when classes have just got so many tools that they can do that all the time, perhaps it's a little bit crazy, and it means that that moment where you get CC'd right before you're going to do a big thing, instead of being, oh shit, that guy played really well because he has 1 CC to use every 2 minutes or something, it just turns into, oh well, I CC'd again, it's fine. Diminishing returns means, like, this is the 15th that I've had in the last minute or something. You know what I mean? Perhaps make them less common, but more, in terms of gameplay, they're a little bit more of an implication. I don't know, it could be interesting. That said, one thing I don't want is for PvP to be an ultra bursty thing, because I don't really think ultra bursty is that skilled. It just means that everyone rolls around with a Swifty one-shot macro and wins. Believe me, I have rolled around with a Swifty one-shot macro in patch 5.2 as a hunter. It was ridiculous for a little while, and then it just got boring because I could one-button kill nearly everyone. Because hunters were absolutely ridiculously overpowered in PvP at that time. I'm the first to say it, and honestly, that's the reason I played, because hunters haven't been OP in a very long time in anything, really. I mean, there's times when they've been very strong, but not uber strong. So for, like, the first time that happened in PvP, I was just like, oh, I've got to play this. And now hunters, I don't know what they're like in PvP, I haven't really checked it out. But anyway, that's it for today's show. We have hit 13 minutes, which is kind of crazy, given there wasn't a massive amount of news, but that's what tends to happen when Blizzard, when the Blues talk more about ideas and systems. It means I can have a bit more of a soapbox, I suppose, to talk about things in a longer form. But anyway, that's it for today's episode. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe. The thing I want to hear in the comments today is from the PvP people, actually. And what do you think Blizzard should be adding for you guys in terms of new content, new systems, something beyond just, oh, we put in a new battleground and a new arena, something beyond that, because I think just it's not really varied enough. That said, of course, PvP play is inherently more varied. But anyway, that's what I want to hear. Thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed the show, and I'll see you next time.